What happens when a man who cruelly scorns his pregnant wife for a younger model suddenly finds himself front row center to witness her spectacular return? If you believe in karma served on a diamond platter, give this video a like now. Your support is the energy that fuels our channel. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the epic follow-up. The $10 billion imitation, Pierce Harrison thought he had it all. A sensual new girlfriend, who he boasted looked like a movie star, and freedom from his boring former life. He couldn't stop rubbing it in his ex-wife Arabella's face, but he never imagined that, while he was busy flaunting his cheap imitation, Arabella was being quietly courted by one of the world's most reclusive billionaires. Get ready for the ultimate revenge story, where the red carpet becomes a battlefield, and a scorned woman's triumph is witnessed by the entire world. Part 1. The Curator of Coldness. Pierce Harrison was a collector of beautiful things. His penthouse in the heart of Miami's design district was a testament to his exquisite, albeit soulless, taste. Polished chrome and white leather furniture rested on a vast expanse of imported Italian marble. Abstract art from trendy, rising artists adorned the walls, each piece a calculated investment. His watch was a Patek Philippe, his suits exclusively bespoke, and his car, a sleek black Aston Martin DB11, purred with the promise of power and prestige. And then there was Serena Vance, his most recent and prized acquisition. Serena was, Pierce's own bombastic words, a real-life movie star. With her cascade of raven hair, sultry almond eyes, and a figure that seemed sculpted by the gods, she was the type of woman who commanded attention wherever she went. A 24-year-old aspiring actress and Instagram model, with a following of moderately impressed bots and thirsty men. She was the perfect accessory for a man like Pierce. He paraded her through the city's most exclusive hotspots, a smug smile permanently etched on his face, reveling in the envious stares of other men. "Look at her," he would tell his friends, his voice a possessive murmur. "She has that Sophia Loren vibe, right? Classic beauty. You just don't find that anymore." What Pierce conveniently omitted from his triumphant narrative was the woman he had so recently discarded to make room for his new starlet, his wife of 5 years, Arabella, and the fact that she was 6 months pregnant with his child. Arabella Ara Sinclair was Serena's antithesis. Where Serena was a dazzling firework, Ara was a steady, constant flame. She had a delicate, honey-blonde beauty, intelligent, kind eyes, and was a talented landscape architect, a woman who found beauty in the natural world, not in the fleeting trends of fame. She had been the stabilizing force in Pierce's life, the one who supported him when he was just a struggling entrepreneur. He paid her loyalty with a betrayal so profound, it shattered her world. The day he left her was seared into her memory. She had been planning the nursery, a room filled with light and love, a sanctuary for the child they both had wanted so badly. He came home from a business trip to Los Angeles, his face a mask of cold indifference. He told her, with the same emotion one discusses a failed business deal, that he was in love with someone else, someone younger, someone more exciting, someone who didn't have stretch marks or morning sickness. "I need to be with someone who inspires me, Ara," he had said, the casual shortening of her name a cruel twist of the knife. "Someone who makes me feel alive." He had already packed his bags. His world, once a vibrant landscape of shared dreams, was reduced to a barren wasteland in the space of one heartless conversation. The public slap. The divorce was quick and brutal. Pierce, ever the pragmatist, offered her a generous settlement, a golden cage to keep her quiet, and out of his new glamorous life. Ara accepted the money, and retreated to a quiet, tree-lined street in Pacific Palisades, California, to a Spanish-style bungalow she had once dreamed of renovating with him. Now she would do it alone. But Pierce couldn't just leave her alone. He seemed to derive a perverse pleasure from flaunting his new life in her face. He would post endless photos of himself and Serena on Instagram, their lives a curated montage of private jets, exotic vacations, and champagne-fueled parties. He even had the audacity to send her a Christmas card, featuring a professional photo of him and Serena, dressed in matching cashmere sweaters, grinning smugly in front of a roaring fireplace in an Aspen ski chalet. On the back, in his neat, arrogant handwriting, he had written, "Wishing you a Merry Christmas. Hope you're doing well." Ara threw the card into the fireplace, watching the flames consume their smug, perfect faces. The pain remained a dull, persistent ache. She carried their child, a constant living reminder of his betrayal, and he lived a consequence-free life of bliss with a woman who was little more than a girl. Her friends, a fiercely protective circle, were incandescent with rage. "He's a monster, Ara," her best friend Chloe had said, her voice trembling. "A soulless narcissist. How can you be so calm?" But Ara wasn't calm. She was drowning. The joy she should have been feeling about her impending motherhood was contaminated by the bitterness of her disillusionment. She sat in the half-finished nursery, surrounded by boxes of unassembled furniture and untouched baby clothes, and cried until she had no tears left. Interactive. Question: have you ever felt so consumed by pain that life felt like it just stopped? Tell us in the comments how you overcame that feeling. The blog of self-congratulation. Pierce was either oblivious to the depths of her despair or simply didn't care. His world was a bubble of self-congratulation, and Ara was a distant, unpleasant memory. He was too busy curating his image as the man who had it all. He even started a blog, a pretentious, self-aggrandizing platform where he pontificated on everything from investment strategies to the art of living a custom-made life. He wrote a post titled, "Upgrading: Why I Chose a Life of Authenticity and Passion," a thinly veiled justification for leaving Ara. He referred to his previous chapter as a time of stagnation and compromise. He wrote about the importance of surrounding himself with vibrant, inspiring people, and anyone who knew him knew he was talking about Serena. The post went viral within his small, privileged circle. People whispered about it at dinner parties. Ara felt the sting of their pity every time she left her bungalow. Pierce, on the other hand, reveled in the attention. He saw himself as a maverick, a pioneer of self-actualization. He was also a world-class fool, and his fall was destined to be as spectacular as his rise. The seeds of his humiliation were being sown in the quiet, tree-lined streets of Pacific Palisades, in the heart of a woman slowly piecing her shattered life back together. Part 2: The Recluse and the Redemption. The first few months after Pierce left were a blur of grief and hormones. Her friends formed a protective cocoon around her. "You can't let him win, Liv," her sharp attorney friend, Jessica, had said firmly. "And right now, by letting yourself be consumed like this, you are letting him win. You need to prove it to him. And more importantly, you need to prove it to yourself, that your life didn't end when he walked out that door." Jessica's words were the necessary shock. Ara knew she was right. She threw herself into her work, channeling her pain into creativity. She accepted a massive new commission to design a rooftop garden for a new luxury hotel in the heart of downtown LA. The project was exactly what she needed: ambitious and demanding. It was during a visit to a specialist nursery in Northern California that her life took an unexpected turn. She was looking for a rare variety of Japanese maple. The nursery owner, a gruff but knowledgeable man named Mr. Henderson, told her he had sold the last one to a private collector, a true plant enthusiast who lived on a huge estate overlooking the Pacific Ocean. He's a real recluse, they say. Name's Elias Sterling. The name meant nothing to Ara. Just as she was about to leave, an elegant black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up. A tall, immaculately dressed man with salt and pepper hair and piercing blue eyes stepped out. He exuded an aura of quiet authority. Mr. Henderson's face lit up. "Well, speak of the devil. That's him. That's Mr. Sterling." Elias Sterling approached, his gaze falling upon Ara. There was an intensity in his eyes that made her feel both seen and slightly nervous. "My Japanese maple," Ara found her voice. "Yes," she said, her tone more confident than she felt. "The Palmatum Ryusen. I was hoping to use it in a project I'm designing." Elias's eyebrows rose in surprise. "You're a landscape architect?" "Yes," she said. "Arabella Parker." He extended a hand. "Elias Sterling. A pleasure to meet you." His handshake was firm and warm, and he held her gaze for a moment longer than strictly necessary. They spoke for over an hour. He was fascinated by her work, and she was captivated by his deep knowledge of botany and his passion for conservation. He told her about his estate, a vast property he was slowly rewilding, returning it to its natural state. As they were about to part, he said, "I know this is forward, but I would be fascinated to see your designs for the hotel rooftop. And perhaps, just perhaps, I can interest you in my Japanese maple." Ara was startled, but found herself smiling. "I'd like that very much, Mr. Sterling." "Elias," he corrected gently. "Interactive. Question: if you were in Ara's shoes, would you give Elias a chance? Comment your thoughts below." Part 3. The Quiet Courtship. Their first date, as Chloe would later excitedly call it, was a visit to his estate the following weekend. It was a world away from the glitz of Miami. A long, winding road led through a dense forest of ancient trees to a magnificent stone mansion overlooking the Pacific. They had a simple, delicious lunch on a sun-drenched terrace. She found herself opening up to him in a way she hadn't with anyone in a long time. She told him about her pregnancy, her recent divorce, and her struggle to rebuild her life. He listened patiently, his blue eyes filled with a compassion so genuine it brought tears to her eyes. When she told him about Pierce, about his cruelty, and his constant need for validation, a flicker of something cold and hard entered his eyes. "He sounds like a very small man," Elias said, his voice low and firm. For the first time since Pierce left, she felt a sense of security, a feeling of being valued. Their relationship blossomed in the weeks that followed. Elias was a tech billionaire, the founder of a revolutionary software company who was notoriously private. He was everything Pierce was not: kind, humble, and genuinely interested in the world around him. He was a man of substance, and to Ara's astonishment, she was falling in love with him. As her due date approached, Elias became her rock. He accompanied her to prenatal appointments, helped her finish the nursery, and was there holding her hand when she gave birth to a healthy, beautiful baby boy. She named him Pax, a name meaning peace, a symbol of the strength she had found within herself. Pierce, meanwhile, was completely oblivious to the dramatic shifts in Ara's life. He was too consumed in his own world, too busy flaunting his starlit girlfriend. He had heard through gossip that Ara had given birth and sent a perfunctory text. "Congrats. Let me know what I owe you for the child support." He had no idea that Ara was no longer the broken, lonely woman he had left behind. He had no idea she had found a love deeper than he could comprehend. And he had no idea she was about to make a spectacular entrance into the world on the arm of a man who could buy and sell him 1,000 times over. The stage was set for a confrontation, and the red carpet was about to become a battleground. Part 4. The Spectacular Return. While Arabella was wrapped in the quiet, authentic joy of new motherhood and burgeoning love, Pierce Harrison was aggressively marketing his own happiness. His life was a brand to be managed, and he was its most relentless and obnoxious promoter. His Instagram was a relentless high-gloss stream of manufactured bliss. The magazine exposure, the zenith of this PR offensive, was an 8-page feature in Prestige Living, titled The Art of the Upgrade, Pierce Harrison on Life, Love, and Living Authentically. In it, Pierce pontificated on his personal philosophy, a toxic mix of self-help quotes and stunning hypocrisy. "Authenticity is everything," he was quoted as saying. "It means having the courage to audit your life, identify the elements that no longer serve your highest self, and have the strength to cut them out." He referred to his 5-year marriage not by name, but as his previous chapter, a time of comfortable stagnation and muted colors. Ara read the article, but to her own surprise, it was a distant feeling. She looked down at warm, snoring Pax, curled against her chest, his tiny fist gripping her finger, and a wave of profound peace washed over her. This was real. She closed the laptop, not in anger, but with a sudden, overwhelming wave of pity. He wasn't living a life. He was holding up a facade, and that had to be an exhausting, empty existence. The revelation: Ara's rooftop garden project was completed to rave reviews, earning her the prestigious National Landscape Design Award. Her work garnered her a feature in Architectural Digest, celebrating her talent, vision, and quiet, profound contribution to the world's beauty. A dignified, powerful testament to her resilience and craft. Her life with Elias deepened into the kind of partnership she had always craved. He seamlessly became part of her world and Pax's. He was a man of immense wealth, yet he found his greatest joy in the simplest things. He would lie on the floor of the bungalow for hours, his deep laugh echoing as he made silly faces at Pax. Then, a strange, gnawing curiosity began to consume Pierce. He managed to find Ara's new, private Instagram account. What he saw was a quiet gut punch. Her feed was a sun-drenched diary. Pax's feet. Ara laughing with dirt on her cheek from her garden. A life of substance. Then he saw the photo that stopped his breath. It was a candid shot. Ara and a man were sitting on a park bench, sharing coffee. The man had his arm around her and was looking at her with an expression of pure, unadulterated adoration. Pierce's fingers flew across the keyboard. He searched the name, the awards, the hotel project, and then he found it. The man in the photo wasn't just a new boyfriend. He was Elias Sterling. A quick, frantic search yielded a handful of rare old articles from Forbes and the Wall Street Journal. Tech visionary, philanthropist, recluse, and a net worth with so many commas that it made Pierce's considerable wealth look like a rounding error. The blood drained from Pierce's face. He felt a cold, sick dread in his stomach. He had left Ara for an aspiring actress. He had boasted about having a movie star, and she, quietly, without any boasting, had ended up with a man who could buy the entire movie studio, its catalog, and the island where they filmed. The sheer cosmic scale of his miscalculation was astonishing. He saw himself not as the man who had upgraded, but as the fool who had traded a winning lottery ticket for a handful of magic beans. The Met Gala coronation. The final act was set in motion a few weeks later. The Met Gala, the absolute peak of the social calendar, was approaching. "I'm one of the co-chairs this year," Elias mentioned casually one evening, "and I was hoping my partner would do me the honor of attending with me." Ara froze. The idea was terrifying. The cameras, the crowds, the judgment. Elias took her hands. "This isn't about going back into their world. This is about you walking into yours on your own terms. I want the world to see the woman I see every day. Not the scorned wife of the tabloids, but the brilliant, strong, beautiful artist. This is not a performance, Ara. It's a coronation. Your coronation. Okay? She exhaled, a slow smile spreading across her face. I'll go. The next day, she called a legendary stylist. She described her vision. Something elegant, powerful, and unequivocally. Meanwhile, across the city, Pierce Harrison was pulling every string he could, calling in every favor owed, to secure his own tickets to the gala. He finally got them, and he and Serena immediately began planning their red carpet assault, a coordinated look designed to get them noticed. He had no idea he was a supporting actor, in a drama he didn't even know was being written. He was preparing for a party, while Ara was preparing for a resurrection. Interactive question. Do you think the Met Gala is the perfect place for an ending like this? And what do you think Ara's iconic look will be? Drop your fashion predictions in the comments. Part 5. The scene of the crushing get ready. The Met Gala starts now. Like this video if you're here for the ultimate public humiliation. The night of the Met Gala was less a party, and more a controlled detonation of fame and fashion. Pierce's pompous entrance. Pierce and Serena's entrance was as subtle as a car alarm. Their rented vintage Rolls-Royce was so ostentatiously large, it momentarily struggled to turn onto the carpet, causing an embarrassing bottleneck. Pierce, encased in a ridiculously ill-advised crushed velvet tuxedo, strutted out, forcing a pathetic imitation of a confident stride. Serena followed, a human disco ball stuffed into a silver sequined gown, designed not to be admired, but to be noticed. They were an assault on the senses, a jarring splash of new money and unlimited ego. The veteran photographers, men and women who could spot a poser a mile away, snapped their obligatory shots with an air of weary disdain, before diverting their lenses, searching for a real star. Pierce, however, was locked in a fortress of self-delusion. In his mind, the flashes were a confirmation of his status. He was the man who had it all, the starlit girlfriend, the custom-made life, a ticket to the most exclusive party on the planet. He felt a wave of triumphant glee. He had made it. The queen arrives. Then, a palpable shift occurred on the carpet. A quiet authority replaced the chaotic energy. The frantic screaming of the press died down, replaced by an expectant murmur. An elegant black Bentley Mulsanne, the automotive equivalent of a perfectly tailored tuxedo, pulled up silently. Its presence was a statement of wealth so deep and discreet that the gaudy Rolls-Royce, parked just ahead of it, suddenly looked like a cheap toy. The chauffeur opened the door, and Elias Sterling emerged. He didn't need crushed velvet. In an exquisitely cut, classic tuxedo, he radiated a power that was both innate and absolute. He moved with unhurried grace, a man utterly at ease in his own skin. He turned, ignoring the now frantic press, and extended a hand into the dark interior of the car. And then Arabella stepped out. It wasn't an entrance. It was a revelation. The world seemed to hold its breath. A collective gasp rippled down the press line, a sound of pure, unadulterated astonishment. Arabella Sinclair, a woman the world had forgotten, had just become the undisputed center of the universe. She was a vision of a dream, a celestial Madonna brought to life. Her gown, a custom creation from a revered Parisian designer, was a masterpiece of midnight blue silk chiffon that seemed to have captured the night sky itself. The fabric flowed around her, falling in soft, ethereal layers that draped over her 7-month pregnant form, not to conceal it, but to celebrate it, to frame it as the miracle it was. A single, magnificent diamond necklace, a gift from Elias, rested against her collarbone, glittering like a captured constellation. Her honey-blonde hair was pulled back into an intricate low chignon, revealing the elegant line of her neck. Her face, free of the heavy makeup favored by women like Serena, was luminous. She glowed with an inner radiance, a serene, confident joy that no cosmetic could ever replicate. She wasn't playing a part. She was simply magnificently herself. Elias's hand rested gently on the small of her back, his touch both protective and proud. He looked at her not as an accessory, but as his queen. They were a picture of genuine love, of quiet strength, of a power so profound it needed no announcement. The photographers, who had been lethargic only moments before, erupted. The sound was a deafening, continuous roar of shutters, a desperate, frantic scramble to capture an image that was already iconic. They weren't just taking a photo. They were witnessing a moment. The final blow. Pierce stood frozen 20 feet away, the smug smile melting from his face like wax. His mind struggled to process the vision before him. This radiant, celestial being couldn't be his Ara, the quiet, sensible woman he had deemed dull and uninspiring. The woman he had discarded was now the most breathtaking creature he had ever seen. His gaze flickered from Ara's serenity to Serena, who was now adjusting her dress, looking annoyed that the attention had shifted. In the bright glare of Ara's authentic light, Serena's sequins suddenly looked cheap. Her practiced pout seemed vulgar. Her overtly sexual dress looked desperate. He had boasted to everyone that he had traded a sedan for a sports car. Now he saw the devastating truth. He had traded an invaluable work of art for a cheap, factory-made replica. The realization was a physical blow. A wave of vertigo swept over him, and the triumphant sounds of the Gala faded into a dull roar in his ears. Every cruel word he had ever said to her rushed back, each one a fresh stab of shame. He and Serena were now completely invisible, two ghosts haunting the edge of the frame. As they passed the spot where Pierce stood, paralyzed, Ara's gaze, ghouls, for one single, crushing split second, met his. He braced himself for a look of triumph, of anger, of smug satisfaction. He would have welcomed it, but it never came. Instead, her eyes held only a quiet, profound pity. It was a look that didn't say, "I told you so." It said, "I am so sorry for you." It was the look one gives to something broken, something small and sad. And in that one devastating gaze, she stripped him of his rage, his pride, and the last vestiges of his dignity. He was not her villain. He was not even a footnote. He was merely an object of her compassion. That was the deepest cut of all. The crowning speech, the final nail in his ego's coffin, came during the evening speeches. Elias took the stage, and the vast room went silent. He spoke eloquently about the museum, about the power of art. Then his voice softened, and he directed his gaze right to Arabella. "Art, in its highest form, allows us to see the world anew," he said, his voice resonating with deep emotion. "And tonight, I am here with the greatest artist I have ever known, my partner, Arabella Sinclair, who has taught me the true meaning of resilience, grace, and the transformative power of a loving heart. She has taken the broken pieces of a life and is building a masterpiece of strength and beauty, and she is creating our family's own masterpiece right now." He gestured gently toward her, a look of overwhelming love on his face. "Thank you for inspiring me and the world every single day." The room erupted in a wave of heartfelt applause. Ara's eyes shone with tears as she looked up at him. Pierce felt the applause like a series of physical punches. He had that love. He had held that masterpiece in his hands, and in his blind, arrogant stupidity, he had thrown it into the fire. He glanced at Serena. She had missed the entire speech. She was hunched over her phone, her face illuminated by its pale light, furiously editing a selfie she had taken of her dessert plate, her thumb sliding filters, completely absorbed in her own little digital world. He looked from her empty expression to the radiant, beloved woman across the room. He had boasted to everyone that his mistress looked like a movie star, but his pregnant ex-wife had become royalty. And he, Pierce Harrison, the self-proclaimed king of the upgrade, was nothing but a jester in the ruins of his own pathetic kingdom. Final conclusion and call to action. Meaningful conclusion. The journey of Arabella Sinclair, from a shattered, discarded wife to a radiant, empowered woman on the arm of a man who truly valued her, is a powerful reminder that our stories are not defined by those who leave us, but by the strength we find within ourselves to rewrite our own endings. Pierce, in his blind arrogance, thought he could simply upgrade, but he learned the hard way that true value is not found in flashy appearances, but in the quiet, unshakable strength of a person's character. What did you think of Arabella's incredible transformation and the ultimate karmic payback? Let us know in the comments. If you loved this story and want to see more tales of epic comebacks and instant justice, don't forget to like, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life dramas that will make you cheer. Thank you for watching. Welcome back. If you thought the Met Gala was the end of the drama, you were wrong. Pierce Harrison's meticulously crafted world is about to crumble, while Ara and Elias navigate the relentless glare of the spotlight. Give this video a like now if you believe karma is a full-time job, and subscribe to see how Pierce faces the music. Part 6. The Collapse of the Facade. The morning after the Met Gala was a brutal reckoning for Pierce Harrison. While the internet was ablaze with images of Arabella's serene, powerful look, calling her the Queen of the Night and the ultimate upgrade, the few photos of Pierce and Serena were instantly relegated to the worst dressed and who are they lists. The Prestige Living article, once a source of smug pride, now seemed a pathetic joke. His philosophy on cutting out elements that no longer serve your highest self was being mocked relentlessly, juxtaposed with photos of Elias Sterling's 10 billion net worth and his profound love for Ara. Pierce Harrison's highest self traded a masterpiece for a selfie stick. One highly shared meme declared, "The fallout at home." Pierce returned to his cold, pristine penthouse in the Miami Design District to find his kingdom collapsing. Serena Vance was already gone. She had packed her Hermes Birkin, the one Pierce had bought her, and left a terse, capitalized note on the imported marble counter. "My brand can't affiliate with this level of public embarrassment. Good luck with your authenticity." The realization hit him. Serena wasn't in love with him. She was in love with the status and the image he provided. When the image broke, she vanished. His expensive collection was beautiful, but it couldn't offer warmth or loyalty. The financial dominoes began to fall. Investors, sensitive to public image and reputation, started pulling out of his latest ventures. The confidence that had been his greatest asset was shattered. He found himself alone in his sterile penthouse, surrounded by chrome and glass, realizing that he had been the cheapest accessory of all, a walking wallet for an aspiring model and a cautionary tale for the world. He tried to call his old friends, the chorus of flatterers who had benefited from his generosity. Their phones went straight to voicemail. He had no genuine connections, only transactional ones. The silence of the penthouse was deafening, a crushing reminder of the vacuum he had created in his life. Part 7. The New Foundation. Across the country in Pacific Palisades, Arabella woke up to a different reality. The morning after the gala felt like a dream, but the firm, warm hand of Elias beside her was undeniably real. Their phones were silent. Elias ensured that. He knew the media storm would be overwhelming, and he prioritized their peace. "That was amazing," Ara whispered, turning to face him, still wearing the gentle, ethereal blue gown. But I don't want that world to swallow us, Elias. Elias kissed her forehead. It won't. I showed them who you are. Now we go back to our garden, our packs, and our quiet life. That night was a shield, Ara, not a new identity. He proved his words instantly. He had arranged a private jet, not to a glamorous European city, but to a quiet, isolated retreat in the Canadian Rockies. They spent a week disconnected from the world, hiking, reading, and simply being a family. The birth of Pax and the promise. A month later, Ara gave birth to a second son, Pax. Elias was right there, holding her hand, his eyes filled with the same unadulterated adoration she had seen on the red carpet. The birth was a quiet, profound moment, free from any media scrutiny, cementing their bond. Elias held the baby, his powerful hands careful and gentle. "He's beautiful, Ara," he whispered. "Thank you for building this with me." The unexpected gift. A few months after Pax's birth, Elias took Ara to a breathtaking property near the ocean in Big Sur, California. "This is not a purchase, Ara. This is a collaboration," Elias said. "I bought the land, and I want you to design the house and the landscape from the ground up. Not a palace, but a sanctuary. Our first professional project together. No budget constraints, only creative ones. This will be the headquarters of Sterling Sinclair Design." Ara was moved to tears. He wasn't giving her money or a ready-made life. He was giving her a purpose, a validation of her talent, and a true partnership. He believed in her vision above all else. Interactive. Question: what kind of design philosophy do you think Ara, a landscape architect focused on resilience and nature, would bring to the Sterling Sinclair brand? Comment your ideas below. Meaningful conclusion. The true measure of a man. Years later, Pierce Harrison, humbled and financially diminished, occasionally saw articles about Arabella Sinclair. She was no longer a victim. She was a design icon. Sterling Sinclair. Design was revolutionizing sustainable luxury architecture, with features not in prestige living, but in Architectural Digest and National Geographic. He saw candid photos of Elias, Ara, and their son, always smiling, always genuine. Pierce learned the hardest lesson of all. He hadn't lost a wife. He had lost his future. He had traded a partner who built him up from nothing for an accessory who abandoned him at the first sign of trouble. He had traded a life of substance for a shallow facade, and the world had publicly exposed his mistake. The true measure of a man is not the height of his buildings or the price of his watch, but the quiet, unshakable loyalty of the woman he chooses to stand beside, and the dignity with which he treats the life he discards. Final call to action. Like and share this story of transformation and justice. If you believe in second chances, for those who deserve it, and the power of true love, subscribe for more epic tales. What one lesson do you think Pierce needs to learn to truly redeem himself? Tell us in the comments. Part 7. Facing the Ruins. 5 years had passed since the Met Gala night, the public execution of Pierce Harrison's ego, and the glorious coronation of Arabella's new life. Arabella and Elias were thriving. Sterling Sinclair Design was internationally renowned, their philosophy of sustainable, soulful architecture coveted by clients around the globe. Their home in Big Sur was a masterpiece of stone and glass, but it was the small, messy, happy moments inside. Pax turning 5, the laughter around the dinner table, that defined their true success. Ara was not only fulfilled, but utterly at peace. The quiet downfall of Pierce. Pierce, in contrast, was a shadow of his former self. His empire had not vanished, but it had shrunk considerably. After losing key contracts and the trust of his investors, he had retreated from the public eye. He had sold the sterile penthouse, now living in a modest condo and running a much smaller architectural firm focused on minor commercial projects. He was no longer obsessed with flaunting his life. He was struggling just to live it. The constant gnawing need for external validation had been replaced by a quiet, consuming regret. He paid child support for Pax diligently, but kept his distance, knowing he had forfeited any right to be a present father. He often saw articles about Ara. Not the glossy, gossipy kind, but professional features highlighting her brilliance. He would look at her serene, smiling face, recognizing the intelligent woman he had dismissed as boring, and the shame was a heavy, physical weight. The unexpected call. One crisp autumn morning, Ara was reviewing blueprints in her sunlit office when her assistant buzzed her. "Ms. Sinclair, there's a gentleman on the line. He says it's extremely urgent and personal. His name is Pierce Harrison." Ara froze. For 5 years, they had only communicated through their lawyers regarding child support. She looked at Elias, who was on a video call across the room. He paused his meeting her gaze with a calm, trusting nod. Ara took a deep breath. "Put him through." Pierce's voice, once loud and arrogant, was now subdued, almost gravelly. "Ara, thank you for taking the call." "What is it, Pierce?" Her tone was polite, but distant. It's about the house in Pacific Palisades, your bungalow." Ara had rented out the bungalow, the place where she had cried herself to sleep while pregnant. "Yes? Is there an issue with the rental contract?" "No, I had to sell the last of my major commercial properties, and I needed to liquidate funds quickly. I tried to buy the bungalow from your current tenant. I needed to see it gone. It was the last thing I could think of to try and correct my greatest mistake." "I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you that I've transferred the full settlement amount, plus 5 years of compounded interest, to your account. I know the lawyers settled, but ethically, I owe you more than I gave you for your future." Ara was stunned. It wasn't the money. It was the unexpected admission of moral debt. "Pierce, you didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," he whispered. "I threw away a life with the best woman I'll ever know, because I confused the noise of the city with the silence of my own soul. I was a fool, Ara, a colossal, unforgivable fool. I didn't call for a response. I called for a confession. I hope you and Pax are happy." And with that he hung up. The final stone of peace. Ara stood there, the phone heavy in her hand. There was no anger, no triumph, only a sudden, profound sense of release. Pierce's final act of true humility was the last stone needed to seal the grave of her pain. He hadn't just paid his debt. He had offered the one thing she truly needed: acknowledgement. Elias walked over and gently wrapped his arms around her. "Are you all right?" Ara leaned into his strength, looking out at the sun setting over the Pacific. "Yes," she breathed, a genuine, peaceful smile gracing her lips. "I am." He finally saw the truth, and now I can finally close that chapter completely. She picked up the crumpled blueprint for her next landscape project, a massive urban park renewal. She no longer saw Pierce's face when she thought of her past. She saw the strong, resilient woman who had rebuilt her life with dignity. She had traded chaos for calm, arrogance for authenticity, and a fleeting starlet for a lifelong partner. She hadn't just upgraded her status. She had upgraded her soul. The final lesson. The story of Arabella and Pierce is a testament that true victory is not measured by who you defeat, but by the integrity with which you rebuild your own life. Ara's crown was not made of diamonds from the Met Gala, but of the strength, peace, and unwavering love that she cultivated in her quiet kingdom by the sea. Final call to action. Like this video. If you believe in the power of building your own destiny, share this inspiring message of healing and redemption. What is the most important quality Arabella taught Elias about true value? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe now for more powerful stories of life, love, and transformation.